many civilians died in 20 years during the ANC's?
It was like 200, I think.
Less than 100. How many people did Hamas kill on one day?
So this is what Ethan does. Ethan knows enough to discuss the topic, but he doesn't really know enough to go into detail and be able to talk about the complex nuances about certain situations. Now, the problem with Hasan is that he got filibustered on so many different examples because as a progressive and as a liberal, he has to be sensitive to tone, he has to be sensitive to terminology, he has to be sensitive to be politically correct, etc. And this is the problem with liberals when they debate each other. It has inhibited his ability to effectively debate Ethan, and he's fighting Ethan at a position that he shouldn't be fighting him at all.
All you care about is petty drama. This is your only content. Stop doing petty drama content, shut the fuck up about politics, and get back to goofs and gaffes. And it will be fine. People will forget that you have behaved in this way.
Oh, shit. Nice hitting him where it hurts, where each three has fallen off.
That people don't like you. It must be anti-Semitism. No, they don't like you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And you have to be babied by goddamn producers as a 40-year-old adult. That's the reason why people don't like it.
Oh, that's true.
Very good. Very good. Now, why don't you watch Bad Empanada's videos about you?
Because he's pro-Palestine. And I don't give a fuck about...
He was criticizing you.
Palestine,
oh, you're
and
such a coward,
I don't care about the
Hasan.
difference in methods that we have.
All right, very good. I'm out of my depth. I shouldn't talk about
the movement. And if you were pro-Palestine, I would never talk about you either. That's the real reason.
Uh-oh. Can you please contend with the Avi Schleim quote that they left not because of Zionism, but because of they were afraid?
Dude, come on. Enough. You have Avi Schleim on the show. Talk to him about it, okay?
Okay, sure,
Maybe it'll go down exactly like you thought with Sam Cedar.
Man.
How did it go with Sam Cedar? I think if anything, Sam kind of embarrassed himself.
No, you embarrassed yourself.
I genuinely do.
We watched that debate. You actually embarrassed yourself, Ethan.
Fucking Button, when he has like a little oopsie moment,
Did I button?
is actually the one who's talking about Sam Cedar embarrassing himself.
Did I button?
He lowered himself to talk to you man to man and tried to explain to you what was going on.
Maybe Hasan should get one of those buttons.
Why would you want to lower his status?
Private, Ethan. Why did you lower his status? Because I thought you could be convinced. I didn't realize you were this fucking drama obsessed.
Drama obsessed. We had an argument about fucking South Africa apartheid. What's drama about that?
What?
You're fucking dude. Listen,
I can't hear what you said. What did you say?
It doesn't matter. Just remember, when it comes to criticism, I watch it.
Yes.
You ignore
Nelson
it. It's so important.
Nelson Mandela was actually peaceful because you're going to clip chimp the fucking shit that Loner Box told you.
Why
and
was
then you're going to say the violent things that the ANC did were in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee attributed to
Hasan, how many civilians died in 20 years during the ANC's?
It was like 200, I think.
Less than 100. How many people did Hamas kill on one day? Nelson Mandela, which I'll read you a quote from his trial. I'll read you a quote.
Comparing?
So I've been watching this for, as you guys know, for a little bit now. And what I've noticed, so this is like Ethan Klein's like debate style. What Ethan Klein does is, Ethan isn't necessarily as educated on a lot of the topics. And if you guys notice, he's researching a lot of the stuff right then and there on his computer as he's talking about them because he doesn't actually know. I mean, he does this all the time, by the way. He's not actually like an intelligent guy. He researches a lot of this shit as he's live, and he has his team researching shit behind the scenes. So this is what Ethan does. Ethan knows enough to discuss the topic, but he doesn't really know enough to go into detail and be able to talk about the complex nuances about certain situations. So, for example, he'll go there and say, there was rising anti-Semitism in Arab countries, and they left because of this rising anti-Semitism. But he doesn't take it to the conclusion, which is, why did the anti-Semitism rise? It rose because of the creation of Israel in 1948. He kind of flirted with it by saying, well, why was there this anti-Semitism in 1948? Well, the reason why is what I explained. The creation of Israel on May 15th of 1948 galvanized and united the Arab world to say, fuck this, we are going to get these invaders out of here because these guys are Eastern Europeans creating a colony in an Arab fucking area. This is unacceptable. So what ended up happening was they united. As a byproduct of them uniting, there was anti-Semitic resentment towards a lot of the Mizrahi Jews that I discussed before. So again, the problem here is that Ethan knows enough to have a conversation, but not go deeper into it. And then when you do want to go deeper into it, he says, this is boring. Like, let's go to something else. Like, yeah, you know, people are going to tune out, blah, 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 because he knows that he can't go into these complexities and his audience is too retarded to understand the fact that people want to know these details, or maybe his audience doesn't, but guess what? A bunch of people are reacting to this right now, and they want to know the truth, like I'm explaining to you guys right now at this moment. Now, the problem with Hasan is that he got filibustered on so many different fucking examples because as a progressive and as a liberal, he has to be sensitive to tone. He has to be sensitive to terminology. He has to be sensitive to be politically correct, etc. And this is the problem with liberals when they debate each other. I really hope you guys are like kind of taking away some of these things that are going on the side. Basically, what Hasan is doing here, though he is intellectually superior to Ethan on this very topic, because he actually is a political commentator and not a slop commentary guy like Ethan. I put Ethan Klein in the same boxes like Abba and Preach and shit. They literally just react to shit and give disingenuous takes on stuff off of clipped up content. That's what they do. So Ethan is a slop content creator. Someone like Hasan is a political commentator. Though I disagree with a lot of the things that he says, he's actually far more researched and intelligent on this very topic when it comes to Israel-Palestine. But here's a problem. Since he is a liberal and a progressive, he has to be sensitive about the way he conveys information. So effectively what he's been doing is he's been fighting Ethan with one hand behind his back like this. Now, no matter how trained you are, no matter how much of a good boxer you are, if you are fighting someone with one hand tied behind your back, meanwhile, they have both hands, which is what Ethan is doing. He has one hand of disinformation and one hand of stupidity where he can obfuscate. He is pummeling Hasan in this situation because Hasan, though he is intellectually superior on this topic, he is too scared of being able to make concessions on certain topics, like, for example, the terrorism one, and he ends up going down a fucking rabbit hole with Ethan on a topic that never should have went down the rabbit hole in the first place, and it kept him away from being able to go on the historical stuff, which actually lines up and is in Hasan's favor. But since he's been so goddamn worried about tone police being PC, etc., it has inhibited his ability to effectively debate Ethan, and he's fighting Ethan at a position that he shouldn't be fighting him at all. But again, this is because when you're a liberal, you have to be cognizant of certain terms. Racism, bigotry, inbred, terrorism. Fuck that shit, right? You just got to be able to debate things as they are. Okay, and the other thing too as well here, that's another problem, is that Ethan isn't a good faith debater. He's not actually here to debate facts. He's here to get clips, clip farm, make shit look stupid, blah, blah, blah. In this situation, he hasn't been able to clip farm as much because Hasan knows his tactics, but what he's been able to do is misdirect the conversation into usage of terms, political correctness, etc. And this is where Hasan has kind of hurt himself because in order for him to dance with Ethan in this politically correct world, he has to put a hand behind his back and worry more about terms. And that's what's fucked him up. That's what's fucked him up. This is why conservatives a lot of the times destroy liberals, because we are not worried about terminology. We are not worried about being called a bigot. We are not worried about being labeled a racist or whatever. Matter of fact, the more you call us a racist, the funnier it is. So for us, we don't have these barriers in our way to convey information like liberals do. And what you guys are witnessing actually right now is a fantastic example of how liberals constantly actually hurt themselves when it comes to debating because they're worried about certain phrases and terms being interpreted in a certain way that might make them look unfavorable.
Israel has a right to exist, not in the way that it currently does.
With the insecure borders.
Ethan, hold on.
Coward.
Do you know what he says after that clip?
Yeah, that he also thinks that Palestinians also need to be acknowledged, which, by the way, is my fucking point.
No, not that.
Palestinian liberation and Israeli borders are two sides of the same coin.
No. He didn't just say Palestinians also need to be acknowledged.
What did he say?
He says that if peaceful means of coexistence is impossible, then violence is inevitable, Ethan. Why did you clip that out of the fucking clip chimp that you posted, Ethan?
Are you saying I clip chimp Nelson Mandela?
See what he did there? And this is where Hasan shows the intellectual superiority. He knew what was said there, but Ethan did his disingenuous tactics and clipped that out, but he knew that that was actually there. And again, if Hasan wasn't such a pussy and worried about words, he would have been able to mop the floor with this fucking guy. But he fucking was fighting with one hand behind his back because he's worried because his audience is filled with a bunch of sensitive liberal retards that get offended off of terms like inbred, racism, bigot, whatever. And now he has to sit here and explain his position and not come off as a bigot, which actually takes away from his ability to debate on the actual intellectual stuff.